All right, do you guys see this okay? Yep. Cool. So let's stay here a little bit. We'll talk a little bit on Zillow, and then we'll talk about data too, paid marketing and whatnot. So if you got no experience, again, I don't invest, or I wouldn't recommend investing into marketing quite yet. Even when you can invest into marketing, you're actually still going to want to do these free strategies. Like in our company, we're doing the data game, but we're hitting the on-market stuff and all these free strategies, various free strategies that are in the course too. And all of the stuff that I'm going to share with you guys, stuff that's in the course, I've been doing a long time, I'm currently doing today, like this stuff works. All lead gen strategies work. The biggest thing is just the action behind it. Are you doing the proper follow-up? Are you knowing what you're doing? You know, the whole nine. All that's, you know, it's not going to work if you're not putting the work to follow up on these people, right? So what I would recommend with Zillow is I'd always come into my market. And again, all this stuff is in the free course for you guys, but I'd outline my market. We're hitting something like this. Boom. And so this would just be like my daily flow. I'd come into the for sale. We'll do all home types. And so what I would do is I'd start with the Zillow one-day filter. So boom, just like that. And so 291 properties come back. Now, a lot of people, they'll go to the backdated stuff, and I haven't found one person playing the one-day game. So we will definitely do the backdated stuff. We'll do the keyword search. But what I want you guys to realize is there's on-market deals that get sold within 24 hours of them going live. And it's a lot of the deals that, you know, if you're playing the backdated game, I'm going to look at the stuff that's only 100 days plus on Zillow, you're going to miss the opportunity that was hot. You know, these home run deals, they get listed and sold almost immediately. So the whole angle is I just want to be able to see anything and everything that ever touches the market. I want to dominate the market. So one piece to dominating the market is to see everything that touches the market within the first 24 hours. So when I do the one-day filter, I see everything that's posted within 24 hours. 290 results come back, right? Now, that's a lot of property. I'm not going to sift through 291. That's too much. I'm going to waste a lot of time doing that. So once you start to know your market a little bit, I would recommend doing a price filter, like knowing where you're contracting wholesale deals. So like for me in my market, most of the wholesale deals that I'm contracting are less than 300,000. Right? So if I put a price cap at 300, we see it takes it from 291 results just to 79. So now I only have 79 properties I actually have to look at. You know, that could maybe be something here. That's not going to take a whole lot of time either. Now, for those of you guys, if you never heard me speak on this, remember, wholesale deal is only done with one of two types of people. There's either going to be a lot of pain attached to the person. I got to sell it quick because I got this problem in my life. I need money fast. Or the property's so beat up it cannot be lived in. It's either going to be one of those two or a combination of both. House is really beat up and I'm in a tough spot. Right now, when we're on Zillow, we don't know these people's situations until we call them, and we're not going to call 79 people to figure that out. So again, it's either a pain or the house is beat up. We don't know their situation, so with these photos, all we can go off of is the condition, right? So out of these 79 results that came back, really what I'm looking for is stuff that cannot be lived in. The stuff that's like, it's dated, but somebody could move in it. What happens is it's not that you can't contract those, and it's not that we're not going to call them. But with those properties that are on the border, like, yeah, it could definitely use an update, a full renovation, but it is clean and livable. More times than not, our cash offer will be quite a bit lower than what a retail buyer could pay. Does that kind of make sense? So like they want 100,000, even though it needs a lot of updates, it is worth 100,000. But we can't make sense of 100 as an investment. We need it lower. So the stuff that's on the border, more times than not, the numbers, it's going to be very hit or miss. So really what I'm trying to say is when the first thing we're doing, what I'm looking at with all these filters is the stuff that is extremely beat up and cannot be lived in. That's really what I'm trying to seek out. And so wholesale is it's all about a numbers game. A huge part of wholesale is a numbers game. I need to get a lot of offers out. I need volume, right? So I'm not gonna if I pull this thing up, I'm not gonna go comp it out and run my numbers and come up with an offer. I'm gonna get them on the phone, hit them with the script, and based on that first phone call, if I believe there's still an opportunity, great. Then I'll look into it and get that number to you. Does that all kind of make sense? Anybody have any questions so far? Cool. So if we open this first one up, what do we see? There's no photos of the inside, but we do notice a tarp on the roof. So, this is definitely something I'm going to call on. Now, the other thing too is when you're clicking and opening up these these properties on Zillow, sometimes the description will actually tell you who they're looking for or who they think the potential buyer is on the deal. So if you notice on this one, a rare opportunity for savvy investors. So they're looking for a savvy investor. Right? If this thing said like, oh, this could use a little sprucing up and become your dream home, that implies they're not really looking for an investor. Maybe they could work a deal with an investor, but that it seems like they're more so, if it was saying with, what I'm saying, it could be lived in, little spruced up, maybe your dream home, that implies more of a retail buyer is who they see fit for this. Does that kind of make sense? So the description sometimes tells us who they think the buyer is on the deal. So I don't see the inside. I see a roof, see the description. Great. I'd rip them. I'd call them up. Speed right on to the next one. Boom. Open this guy up. Could it be lived in? This is what I'm talking about, right? This is on the border of livable and could use a renovation.
If they need that.
Looks a little dumpy out here.
I'm doing quads all over that city right now,
floors, walls, I mean, it's just like, old kitchen, old appliances.
The main team's there. So
the bathroom so. I mean, it's kind of like nothing too special. It's newer tile. The roof looks older. So I mean, this is hit or miss. They may be looking for a retail buyer. They may not. But what I was saying earlier is when these properties are on the border of livable and needing a reno,
good luck with it.
Our cash offer, it might be worth this $225, but because we're looking to update everything, we're going to be significantly lower. And so I guess what I'm getting at is, let me say it this way, maybe. When the house is super beat up, the only person looking to buy it is going to be an investor. But when the house is on the border of needing a full reno and it could be lived in, then you have retail buyers and you have investors interested in the deal. And the retail buyers are always going to be able to pay more than the investor. Does that make sense? So like something like this, I would probably pass on and wouldn't call on right now. So really with Zillow, we got the 1-day filter, we got our price filter, cap, so we're not seeing a million properties come up. And I just want to first call on, I'm going to skim through these 80 properties and only find stuff that is extremely beat up, can't be lived in. That's what I want to find. So out of 89 or 79 properties, maybe there's 5 that are actually worth calling on. Right now, once I exhaust all the efforts on the 1 day and I called all the extremely beat up stuff, then I'm going to call the stuff that's kind of on the border. Right now, if there's only 79, which isn't a lot, then I probably just call the iffy stuff too. So this one where it's real shot, this one that's on the border, just so I'm not having to go back and forth. But if you're in a maybe more are coming back, I don't know. Say a couple hundred are coming back, 100 plus, then you might want to just look at the stuff that's really beat up and then go back to the stuff that's on the border. This also too, like everything I'm talking about, guys, this also, like another variable to how you flow with all this material is, how much time you actually have to give into this, right? So like if I know I have enough time to do my 1 days, I know I have enough time to do the iffy stuff, the backdated stuff, then I'll do that. I'll kind of work that whole flow. But if the time's tight, say I only got 30 minutes a day, then I'm probably not going to call the iffy stuff, right? If you guys are looking at my screen, if my time's tight, then I'm probably just going to only focus on stuff that can't be lived in, where the investor is the only type of buyer that would pick something like that up. Does that make sense? Do you guys follow me with that? Or does anybody have any questions so far? Chris, you got something?
No, it's making sense.
All right, I just saw you on mute. I didn't know if you had something. Cool. Any other questions? Pretty straightforward stuff, right? A lot of this is already covered in the course too. So all right, great. I exhausted all efforts here. Now what I would do is I'd switch it, and I should have said this in the beginning. Always start with the for sale by owner. So you got to flip it in this more tab. Make sure you deselect all this. You only want owner posted on there. I guess you could leave agent listed. Doesn't matter. But have the for sale by owners, boom, only 3. There's literally only 3 properties I got to look at. Let me see this trailer, not interested in that. Let me look at this, another trailer, not interested. 55, another trailer, I'm done. Good with the 1 days with the for sale by owners. Let's bang on the agent, 77 to look at, boom, boom, boom. Maybe I called 5, all done, great. I'm done with my 1 days. That's it. The thing is, guys, This is powerful. I mean, this is money. We would do many deals in this market, on market, doing exactly what I'm telling you guys. Now, this is the important thing. This is what I really want you guys to grasp. This whole Zillow one-day game, this will only work if you could do it perfectly to a T every single day. What happened, and I've witnessed this, and this hurt when I've seen this happen a few times, where, oh yeah, Eric, I'm going to start doing what you say to do. They do the one-day filter, and guess what? They skip one day. They skipped one day where they didn't do it, and guess what? They lost that freaking home run. That one deal that would have made them $20,000, they missed it. So if you could, what I've realized is, if you could do this perfectly to a T within 30 to 45 days, it's guaranteed money. If you could properly follow up, you know how to follow up, like you at least know what you're doing, you got that foundation, this works. We would at least one deal within 35, 45 days was coming off of Zillow just doing this, off of one person. Now, what I would recommend too is when you can't get a hold of these people, so say like I'm like, all right, let me call on this one. This one's real beat up. If they don't pick up, what you want to do is you want to save it. So I would hit save right here, this little heart. And then what you could do is every single day, once you're done with the 1 days, go back to the save stuff. So that's people like, yo, I called on them, but I didn't get a hold of them. Does that make sense? And that's a way to never have anything ever left behind, because this might be the home run. Excuse me. This might be the home run, and I called them 3 times today. They didn't pick up. And I'm like, oh man, all right. And then tomorrow I'm going to do my 1 days, and then this ain't going to populate again. So I may have just missed that opportunity, that one deal. So it's really important that you guys save these, and once you do the 1 day, then you go to the saved and call on all those. Any questions with any of this? I know we got a lot of new faces here with us today. I don't know where all you guys are at in your journey. If you guys are totally brand new, this might be overwhelming, maybe a little confusing. So what I would recommend, like if you're totally new to the stuff, start in the course, keep coming on these Zooms, and little by little, it'll all kind of come full circle. But any questions so far?
So like first day, like just starting out, because I'm like looking at Zillow right now. You would just start at like the 1 day and just start going back days at a time to just see what you find?
Just like this. 1 day, I did the 1 day filter. I price capped it to 300,000. I got my whole market circled, and I'm only going to call on the stuff that's super beat up, that cannot be lived in. If I know I could do this for hours, then, you know, I'm not going to go back and forth. I'll just hit the stuff that's iffy too at the same time, you know. But if tight time, start with the for sale by owner 1 days, agent 1 days, and then you can go backdate it if you have to, or the iffy stuff.
Okay, let's go apply that.
Awesome, cool. Now, what I would do is once we exhaust this, now we're going to look at anything on Zillow, right? So now it's okay to go to the any. And then what you could also do is sort by, you could sort by the newest, and then just go back several pages. So let's say maybe like 100 plus, and then you could start ripping on stuff like that. So if I go back maybe 5 pages, I might have to click on one just to get an idea. It's been on 4 days, so I'd probably have to go back like to the 30th page, maybe further. But you start looking at some of the backdated stuff and called out. So the 1 day, guys, it really doesn't take any time at all. We saw 79 were populated, maybe 5 were worth calling on. If you have, if you only got 30 minutes a day or less, that's exactly what you could do. And if you do it consistently, you'll get that home run. Now, like I was saying, it's easy to get discouraged when you're doing that, right? So you might be 30 days in, you're like, bro, I got nothing. And then boom, you know, the 40th day, you had that home run. Like, boom, oh, wow, here's 20 G's. Here it is. So just don't get discouraged. Be consistent. It's going to work. I've been doing this for years. And I've done this with maybe 40 plus people in my company, and it works. So starting out, just consistency.
What's the max that you would go back to look before you're like, man, I don't think I'm going to get a deal?
No max. Yeah, I just looked at one that was.
So it's like right now I'm looking at one in my hometown, and I'm on 90 days filtered out already.
Yeah. Say that like one more time.
So this one, my filter is 90 days back, and this one's been on Zillow 36 days. So it just missed the month mark. But like just
Oh, you got the
going
90
back.
day. No, take that filter off. No sold in the last filter. You're eliminating
No,
that.
I'm on for sale. I have for sale listed, and then I have the price point, and then I have just houses, and then I have only agents listed, and then I have the days on Zillow at 90 days.
Yeah, you got to remove that. So you're only doing that for the 1 day, that filter. When you're doing backdated.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And for a starting point, Chris, start with 1 day, and then anything you can't get a hold of today, then use that as your starting point for follow-ups for tomorrow. Don't go back more days and try to catch up. That's not going to work.
What I was saying is like hit that heart, and then you could just always look at your saved, and that's anything backdated you can get a hold of. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
If you go into the wholesaling basics course, and then you'll see the video dominating on market. It's exactly this what we're talking about. If you need to reference that again. All right. Question in the chat.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of your videos lately, so it might be time to go back and watch, a second and third time to make sure it sticks.
Yeah, man. No, definitely. Scott on the chat, little off topic, but how do you talk to potential sellers if they're skeptical on working with a wholesaler instead of an agent? I don't really bring up I'm a wholesaler. The way I really see wholesaling, man, is like it's just a strategy. And I'm an investor. I'm a real estate investor. I do rentals. I do wholesale. I do fix and flip. I do wraps. I do it all. Wholesale is just a strategy that I got. So wholesale is never really ever coming out of my mouth. I'm never saying I'm a wholesaler. I'm not necessarily trying to hide it, but I just don't see a need to bring it up. So yeah, there's just no need. The way my mindset when I was only wholesaling exclusively was just my mindset of having I'm representing a pool of buyers. Like that's how I'm moving. So yeah, I'm making the offer. Yeah, I'm saying this is the offer because I know if you accept it, one of my pool of buyers is going to take it. And I'm almost rolling in a mindset of I'm representing a party. Don't ever say that. Technically can't, but almost like that frame of mind. Like I'm working with this investor to make stuff happen. That's kind of how I look at that. Yeah. All right, is that it in the California or mobile homes parks a no-go? Brian, you can connect with Doug and Grant. They're in the community, probably the only Doug and Grant at the moment if you search them up. They're both in California. Doug's in our high-level mastermind. He's a good guy to connect with. He's built many, many homes in California. He's a builder. He's flipped, rentals. I mean, the whole nine. And then Grant, he's a business partner now. So I would connect with both those guys. Angelique, question, hand up.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know how to handle this, but I'm learning my lesson on this. I bought a sub-2 deal in Missouri from a woman. So I owe around $40,000 on it. No big deal. Then I turned around and I'm seller financing that. And the local, my lesson is not to use this local title company and local agent. They're giving me a really hard time, and he's basically, I feel like, holding it hostage. Like when you pay it off, we'll sell it. We'll send that to the title company, and then you can sell it to this woman. I found the buyer on Facebook Marketplace. I just had them write up the contract and show the house for me. So I don't know how to handle it now. I have a title company who will close it for me, who does a lot of creative stuff, but I don't know how to handle these particular people.
Easy. All right. It's a good one. We'll work past this. So you got it on seller finance, right? Like you already own it?
I bought it sub-2.
Sub-2.
I'm turning around to sell it seller finance.
I'm with you. So, couple things here, right? So, if you did want to transfer the deed to them, then the deed would be transferred subject to the existing debt, and either they're going to be buying it from you on subject to, or it's going to be subject to the existing debt with you remaining responsible for those payments. So you're almost selling it to them on a wrap. Are you familiar with the wrap?
No.
So a wrap is when a property has an existing set of financing attached to it. So you already have there's a loan attached to this piece of real estate. So, and all it means is instead of the financing, if you could see my hands, this might help explain it just a little bit better. So remember, when we do creative finance, it's always like if there's debt, then subject to, if there's equity, seller finance, right? With a wrap, instead of breaking out the different pieces of debt, instead of selling it to this person subject to, and then you seller financing the equity, a wrap simply means there's an existing piece of debt. But instead of that debt breaking out, right, we're just going to create a new existing piece of debt that wraps around it. So almost to really simplify this, try and think of it like this. You have this mortgage, right, and you're going to sell the property to them. That mortgage will remain in place. You'll keep making the payments, and you're just going to agree on 100% seller finance to them, not just seller financing your equity. Does that make sense?
Say that again. I'm agreeing to sell.
So, like, let me ask you this, I guess. With you seller financing it to them, were you going to seller finance the whole 100% of the purchase price, or just your equity portion?
The whole thing. So they're basically, I got it from a wholesaler, sub to 43,000 with like, I don't know, 12,000 in, right? Mm-hmm. Then I sold it for 110, 8% interest over 30-year period.
Okay, I'm gonna try and just draw this out. This might be hopefully a good visual. All right, so we got these two people, right? This one's you, this one's the new buyer or whatever. So you right now with this house, you got like you got debt attached to it. You got this loan, right? So this person, they could buy it subject to the loan. And let's say, give me the numbers on this. What's the purchase price for them?
Their purchase price is $90,000.
And the mortgage is how much?
I owe $43,000 left.
Let's just say it's 40 to keep it simple.
Okay.
And let's say this is 100 to be even simpler. So let's say there was 60 in equity, right? So you could have sold it to them subject to the debt, seller finance the equity. That's how we like to buy real estate. But you're not looking to do that. You're not looking to break it all out. You're just looking to create one new set of financing for the full 90. And so what you're doing is actually technically a wrap. Okay. Does that make sense though? So a wrap is one set of financing, even though there's existing financing attached. Now, all right. So let's do this now. So my recommendation really, anytime I do a rent to own or I wrap a deal, sell somebody something on seller finance, I never really want it to be like true seller finance. I never want to give them the deed, because if I give them the deed and they default, it's creating a headache. Now I got to get an attorney involved to chase you. Even if there's a deed in lieu clause in place, meaning, for those of you guys not aware, deed in lieu, I mean, you're able to avoid a foreclosure. So instead of me having to go and get an attorney, go through the whole foreclosure process, a deed in lieu could bypass that whole event, but it's still costly, still going to take a little bit of time to pull off. So I would never recommend doing that unless it was a unique situation. My recommendation is always to structure it as a rent to own or an agreement for deed. Specifically a rent to own. That's really my go-to. The reason for that is because if I give you a rent to own, it's the same deal. Like, yo, it's your house. You can do whatever you want. But if you default, I'm evicting you just like a tenant. I don't got to go get some attorney to make this whole legal, some legal matter. I could just treat you like a tenant and boot you. So I always recommend doing it a rent to own. Now, rent to owns, depending on the state, there is rules and regulations as to how much you could ask for a down payment. I think in Texas, it's like 10 grand you could request on a lease option or a rent to own, something like that. There's different rules depending on it. But if you do an agreement for deed, there is no rules. So maybe just look into that first. If the rent to own looks smooth in your state, go for it. If rent to own / lease option, there's a lot of regulations to that. Structure it as an agreement for deed, which is literally the exact same thing. All that means is John Smith, the buyer, gets to live in the house and do whatever. But I'm going to hold the deed as the owner, right? So Angelique holds the deed. When you pay me off or you're ready to pay me off in full, then we transfer it to you. And so it avoids close. And what you could do too, Angela, is like one selling point to these people is it's actually going to save you money too. You know, if we close on this deal, it's going to cost you 4 or 5 G's. With an agreement for D, we only got to pay $30 to record it. So, you know, that's one thing too. But I would just put I don't know the whole situation with this person, but I would really try and be firm. Like I've only once given somebody the deed and I regretted it. I was like, man, that was a mistake. Because then I was locked into this person for a long time.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would recommend you keeping that deed.
Okay. All right. I'll try that. I'll call them back. They're really being really hard to deal with, the title company. I even talked to the broker and they don't know, you can't do this here, you can't do that. And it's really frustrating. Yeah. I said, I feel like you're holding everything hostage. Well, I found the seller. It's my house I'm selling. I found the buyer, and now I can't do anything because you guys won't allow it to go through and won't transfer everything to my title company.
Well, here's the thing, though. If you do the rent-to-own, no title company is needed.
Okay.
So we just cut them right out. So and I'll help you, whatever you need. I'll walk you through it. But we would contract the deal. We would limit. We're not going to give them the right to sell it, because then we get screwed. You know, it's not really in our best interest. The only way they could buy it is to cash us out by getting a loan or reaching into their pocket and paying cash. Where I kind of got screwed was I offered seller finance to the dude. This was in 2019 or 2020. I want to say like maybe early 2020, something like that. Or maybe I gave him the house in 2018 or 2019. 2020, the end of 2020, market went nuts. And the guy, he couldn't qualify for a loan. The balloon was up, and so he just listed it, and he sold it for $100,000 more than what I sold it to him for. And I was like, oh my goodness! If I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have given him that option. Because if you can't go get your loan, then you're in default, and now it's back in my possession. Now I can go make that extra $100K. That sucked. I made 40 G's on that deal when it could have been 140 plus. Right. So the only option to cash me out is you got to go get a loan or pay cash. You can't go sell my house on the market. It ain't working like that. Okay. And then that's really it. Then we just spend $30 to record it, and there's no title company needed. If we were the buyer on this deal, my recommendation is to get a title search. You could recommend that to them too. There's no title company needed because there's no deed prep, there's no tax search, there's no Alta, there's none of that. None of that exists on an agreement for deed. The only thing a title company would do if you did want them to facilitate it, 2 things: title search and record it. And they're just gonna, it's just money out the window. So if your buyer wants a title search to know there's no encumbrances, cool, they could do that, and then we just record it. But there's no doc stamps or any of those additional expenses needed in an agreement for deed.
Okay, perfect. I'll do that. One quick question. The other one is I need an agreement, or I don't know what it'd be called, a contract with somebody who's going to be a lender for me on a deal. So he's a friend. He wants to be in on this deal to turn around and make some money on his money. And is that just a contract? How do I do that correctly?
I don't have any docs for lending specifically. What I would do is, are you familiar with ChatGPT? Have you played with that?
Yes.
To be honest, that thing is, I spent a lot of money on attorneys, and the ChatGPT was smarter than my attorney. So I would obviously recommendations always an attorney, just so but you'd be surprised. Like, you just tell ChatGPT, like, hey, I want a lending agreement between these 2 parties for this amount, specify all the terms, make it very protective for everybody. And then what you could do is, like, it's so smart. You could literally get what it creates, and then you can go into another ChatGPT thread and say, hey, analyze this agreement and let me know where the risks are for the buyer or the lender and the lendee. And then it would outline, like, oh, here's your risk. And you know what I mean? And then you can say, like, we'll make it more protective. And yeah, I think attorneys are going to go out of business one of these days.
Yeah, perfect. I use ChatGPT a lot, so okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you want me to review it, I'm happy to do that for you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Hey, Eric, do you guys do like the agreement for deeds? Would you use like ChatGPT for that, or do you have it in the course?
So for anybody that's free in the community, that is something that costs money. So you get I think it's like 15, 16 agreements. I think it's like 100 or something bucks. But for those of you guys that been in the group that are currently paying, you guys already have access to that in the Discord.
Hey, Eric, I've got a question.
All right, cool. Got it. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, if you can't find it, just ping me in there. Jeremy, you got a question?
I do. So I've been following you for quite a while on TikTok, and this is my first time ever coming into y'all's Zoom, but I've been an investor for quite a while. I started out remodeling homes, but I'm doing a deal that is totally abnormal for me right now. Typically, I do your, typical buy off market properties, close them out, remodel them, put them back on the market. This go round, I'm doing a deal with my aunt. Her husband recently passed away. She hasn't been able to make her payment, so I came in and said, hey, listen, this is what I'll do, is I'll go in, I'll make the payments, get everything caught back up, and do the repairs on the house, and then I'll put it on the market, and I'll do a 50% split with you. Obviously minus all of my expenses that I put out. I have no idea how to write this up. I know it would just be a JV agreement, but I don't know if there's...
Who's the person again? Who's the party?
She's actually my aunt.
Your aunt. All right, so you're thinking, just so I make sure I got it right. So, hey, I'll come in, I'll pay your mortgage, I'll come in, I'll update the property, and when it sells, we'll split profit.
Yeah, it's gonna stay in her name. That way we don't have, closing costs and all that stuff until the end. I'm just trying to kind of... I'm trying to maximize how much she could actually get. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, 50-50 split's fine. If it was in your ramp, my recommendation would be like more of a normal novation. So, hey, we'll agree to give you X up to this amount. Anything past that is mine. But, if you're trying to help your aunt out, then yeah, 50-50 is fine. Totally fine. And then what I would do is, you definitely want an agreement in place. So I would, to be honest, that's a unique agreement. That's not something that I just have on hand.
Yeah.
So I would ChatGPT that again. I would do the same thing. Hey, create an agreement where I'm responsible for paying seller's mortgage. The deed will just specify every detail, and it will literally do what an attorney would do, and just create a great agreement. And then same deal. If you want me to review it and add my own opinion and clauses into it, I could do that. Okay.
My second question is I heard you guys saying that you kind of do all creative deals, not just subject to, but I've done wholesaling as well, and I'm fixing to start getting back into wholesaling. On these properties you're finding on Zillow, as far as your buyers, are you having a hard time selling on-market properties?
I've never have, no. So my thing is this. The buyers that'll cry that it's on market, or, oh, you're asking more than what it's listed for, those aren't the real deal players. Those are a bunch of... I don't even know what to call those people, because the reality of the situation is, if there's money to make and the numbers check out, who gives a crap what it's on the market for? Who cares if you're asking more than what did the numbers work or not? It's yes or no. And the ones that cry about it, those are people cut off my buyers list in 2 seconds. Nope, not looking to do business with you. And it's the seasoned guys that don't care. Dude, it's on the market for 100. You want $150? I don't care, because I could still make what I'm looking to make. So that's kind of my take on market deals. Certain people are going to cry, but those are the same guys I don't want to deal with.
I hate to admit it, but I'm kind of one of those guys. If I see it on the market,
I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
I hate to admit it, but I'm definitely one of those guys where I'm like, God, I mean, it's hard to buy because I know that I can get it for the same number you can get it for. You know what I mean? This
is the thing, though, Jeremy. This is what buyers need to realize. To lock up these deals on market is a lot of work. This ain't 1, 2, 3. I open Zillow up and now I'm gonna make 50 G's. No, I'm freaking grinding for 45 days straight, 8 hours a day. So I put all the work in that you're not willing to put in, and that's why these guys are coming to me and scooping it up. But it's when people, and not even coming at you, Jeremy, but
yeah, you're good.
That's something people got to realize. This ain't just free money for us wholesalers. And I get it. Some buyers are like, man, dude, I'm only gonna make $50,000 on the flip, and I'm gonna pay you $35,000. They get a little, not saying you, because I don't know everything about you, but people do get stingy about that. My dad, he told me I think it was before I was even born. He told me, he said he was buying a piece of real estate to flip. And he said at the closing table, he's like, yo, who am I paying 50,000 to? He saw a wholesale assignment for 50,000. And my dad's like, he said he was pissed. He's like, bro, like this guy made 50,000. I wasn't even gonna make that on the flip. Like blah blah blah. Like that's crazy. And you know, that was probably like early 90s, late 80s, something like that. But you know, now he gets it. Now he doesn't care.
I just closed a deal and found out that they bought the deal for 79,000. I bought it for 190. And the bad part is they weren't wholesalers and they weren't investors at all. They literally came in, purchased the property, decided they didn't want to mess with it. They went and bought another home, turned around, sold it to me for 190.
Yeah. Biggest thing is like if there's money to make, I don't care what somebody's making. You know, I might try to beat them up and negotiate them, but
you know, for those of you who are new into this, listen to this guy. I've been paying attention to him for a while. I've never came into these, but you know, if you're doubting if there's money in this, don't doubt yourself. Listen to the logic behind it, because you can seriously make an absolute killing simply wholesaling. I'm not a speaker for this guy, nothing. So don't think I'm like some guy that just came in, but I'm telling you, you can make a killing off of this stuff. I did a deal when I first started wholesaling, and I made $117,000 off of one single deal. Yeah, so the money's here for you guys that are questioning this. It's here, no joke. You're more than welcome to look at my TikToks, and you can see that I'm not somebody trying to sell anything or nothing like that. But I'm a true investor, and I've been doing this for 17 years. But I'm gonna drop down.
Yeah, Jeremy, man, I appreciate you hopping in and sharing all that. And for those of you, like you being, you know, obviously a seasoned guy, if anybody else is seasoned here on Zoom, there's a lot of other seasoned people too that you guys should connect with. I mean, builders all over the country, lenders, hard money guys, private money. I mean, the whole nine. Buyers, big people. So if any of you guys are looking for something like that, just hit me up in the chats. I'll make those connections for you.
I thought this was all free, man.
Yeah, I'll hook you up with all these people. I'm not going to charge you for that. All right, cool. We got a good 45 minutes until my next Zoom, guys. So if you guys have questions, any more questions, we can do that. If not, we'll keep talking on lead gen. Feeling good? All right, cool. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys want to keep going down the rabbit hole of free stuff. Put a 2 in the chat if you want to pivot to the paid stuff.
I was actually going to suggest the probate examples. Or
Let's do it. Why not? We'll do it. We'll do one more free, and then we'll pivot into some of the paid stuff. I just got a crazy lead last week using exactly what I'm going to show you guys. So like Sean said, we're going to be using Craigslist here. This is something that literally nobody knows, which is really, really cool. So it's powerful, man. Anything nobody else is doing is good stuff. So what I would do is come into Craigslist, and what you're going to type in is we're actually going to type in estate sale. This is pretty funny. Now, we're not going to be in the housing section. We only want to be in the for sale section. So when you do that, we should see just like a bunch of junk popping up, right? People having estate sales. An estate sale, guys, that for anybody that doesn't know, that means more or less they're looking to clean out the house. 90%, almost all the estate sales. It means it's implied that somebody passed. The heirs are looking to get rid of whatever was inside, right? So the whole play is to call these people up, and we tell them, hey, I'm not really interested in what you got posted, but I wanted to ask if you have any interest selling the house. And then boom, that's a free lead source for probates. Now, I cover all this in the course a little in depth. I give you guys a whole probate script too in there, so I take a look at that. So you do, like, one thing to keep in mind is we don't know where they're at. They may have a will, and so probate's not needed. Maybe they started probate, maybe they didn't. So it's kind of important to understand where they're at with being able to sell the property, really. And that could, one way to maybe finesse and get that insight is just ask them, like, hey, if we work out, if I give you a good number, you're happy with it, you want to close in a few weeks or a couple months. And they might just be like, oh, well, we're in the middle of probate, so blah, blah, blah. And, oh, okay. And then, you got it. Or, no, we can close right away. All right. Well, you know, then they're probably good to go. Probably done with everything. Do you guys want to see an example call, kind of how this goes? You want me to call one? It's up to you guys. Doesn't really matter to me.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Sean wants to see one. All right, let's do it. Again, this is hit or miss. So last week when I did this in our mastermind, it was one call and we got a good one. But I don't know if that's going to be the case again, but we'll try. Sandra, are you still here? I stepped away. All right, let's try. Now, it's ringing, but the other thing you guys could do too, keep this in mind, is when you get these people on the phone, some of them are actually going to be estate sale companies, people that facilitate this type of stuff. And so what I would look to do is if you do get on the phone with one of these companies, don't tell them you want to buy the house. Be like, hey, I'm interested in the estate sale. What's the address? And then try and get on some list that they got so they can send you. Hey, hello, my name's Eric. I came across the estate sale posted on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to reach out. Actually, I wasn't too interested in the stuff you posted, but I just want to see if you had any interest in selling the house.
Yeah, of course you wasn't. I've already got a contract on it, and I've got a backup on it.
Okay, is it with a buyer or an agent?
No, an investor.
Okay, an investor. Well, if you want, I could look into it and give you an offer. I tend to be able to pay a lot more than other investors around town.
Yeah. I don't know when I'll be back over that way.
Well, I wouldn't even have to see it. I mean, if you wanted to share the address within 2 minutes, I can give you my cash offer on it, and I guarantee I'm higher than these other guys you got.
I can give you the address, but you know, I'm finding out that what people offer doesn't always come to what they actually end up wanting to give. So
you'll be surprised. What's the address? I'll give it to you in 2 minutes.
It's 2312 West Kenmore Avenue.
Okay, I see it here. Are you living here, or is this it's vacant now?
No, it's vacant.
Okay. And when would you say the last time the kitchen and the bathroom were updated?
Years ago. Everything years ago.
Okay. Anything major the house needs? Electric, plumbing, roof, foundation?
Yep. Roof, electric.
All right, based on what you're telling, and I'm quick, you know, so I move quick. I'm not going to hold you up, but based on what you're telling me, I'm thinking I'd probably spend a good 65, 70 in there. Is that where everybody else is at, or are they a little higher?
That's what they say, but then when they come, they said it was higher than that.
Maybe closer to 80 is what they're saying?
Yeah.
I could see that. Okay. I've been buying, I'm local too. I'm in St. Pete, been doing this 11 years, so I'm pretty good just with these photos. And then I guess right now, what's the number to beat?
Over 200.
Over 2? Okay. Let me see really quick. And I'll tell you where I'm at. Freeze fixed up. Okay. All right. Give me 30 seconds here. I'm gonna get this number for you. That is a little tight. Is that other offer around 200?
Yep, over 200.
Over 2. All right, I'll be honest. They did beat me on this. If it was in better shape, I can get a loan, and then I could have paid you a really good amount. For a cash deal, I'm probably in the 170s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what I would say though is, you know, if you got a buyer above 2, I'm gonna put everything on it that it's a wholesaler. Are you familiar with wholesalers?
No.
So this is what you got to be. I have a lot of real estate, so I'm getting these calls all day long from these guys. So what a lot of people do is they act like a cash buyer. They'll give you a cash offer, contract the property, but they just look to sell the contract to a real investor like myself. So I mean, I'm thinking the house is probably worth maybe 360 all fixed up, somewhere up in there. So
somewhere around 3.5.
yeah, so if they're buying it from you for above 2, and then they put 80 into it, once they sell it for mid 3s after agent commission, holding cost, I mean, what would you really make as an investor? Maybe 10 grand if you're lucky. Nobody's doing an $80,000 rehab for 10 grand. So I hope it's a real deal, but I really believe this is a wholesaler you're dealing with. This isn't a real investor. I get 50 phone calls a day on my properties from these guys, and they're slick, man. So if you wanted to, I hope it works out. If it doesn't, this is a real deal. I close it in 2 weeks, no nonsense, and give you $5 grand non-refundable right away. So, and you said you already signed with these guys?
Yeah, I've signed with one, and I've got a backup.
Okay, all right. Well, I hope it goes through. When's that supposed to close so I can keep an eye on it?
The end of February.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope it goes through. If it doesn't, something funny happens, just give me a call. And then, like I said, I'm in the 170s, and that's a real deal.
All right. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. So perfect. I mean, just like that, guys. Again, one phone call, we got a lead. Off-market lead. That means I'm not dealing with 50 million people on Zillow, which is great. Now, with this guy in this situation, it's 100% a wholesaler. There is not a shot somebody's really buying that for 2. So what I would do is I would set this follow-up for 2 weeks out. He said the end of February. I'm going to follow up with him every 2 weeks. Hey, I just want to touch in. I'm glad it's going smooth. Great. I hope it works out. And what happens is, what is that? Maybe three follow-up attempts until the end of February, something like that. And by me doing that, those touch points, if that deal does fall through, because I've been calling him, I'm the one that comes to mind, first to mind. Shit, the deal fell apart. Who else is interested? Oh, the guy that calls me every 2 weeks. And then boom, I'm right there because nobody else is following up. Right? Does that make sense? That's just one, man. We just got beat. So, what if I called this thing a little bit sooner or something? You get ripping on these Craigslist. There's money. Real money. Any questions, I guess, with that?
Nope. That was sexy, and thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing, don't overthink these phone calls. Not interested in your junk. I just want to see if you want to sell the house. That's it. Cool. Now, let's talk a little other simple stuff you could do with Zillow, right? So first, that was the for sale. We typed in estate sale. This one, I just realized too, guys, this ain't even in the course, the free course for you guys. So just try and lock this in. But the next piece you could do is obviously go into housing, simple stuff. So I could type in stuff like ARV. And what this is going to do is just populate, more times than not, this is populating a bunch of wholesalers' posts. I guess let's stay here for a minute, right? We're a little all over the place today, but the wholesalers are great, really, really good, because there's a lot you can do with these people. And I guess let's just talk on that, since this kind of isn't in the free course and whatnot. So with the wholesalers, many, many ways to make money. The first one's obvious, right? We call them up, Mr. Wholesaler, you got a deal. I'm going to contract your deal. I'll offer you this. And then we just wholesale the deal again. Other option with the wholesaler, Grant, numbers are tight, man. Too tight for me to buy it. Maybe I could help you find a buyer. You down to do a joint venture? We split the fee. Cool. Now, let's just stay here for one quick second, right? With wholesalers, you got to know, you got to put like some sort of value on these people, right? So if I'm dealing with some newbie wholesaler that has absolutely no clue what he's doing, and he's probably not going to last, then, I might say, screw it, I'll contract his deal and wholesale it. If I really, really value the relationship, like, bro, like, I don't want to burn no bridge here, then I'm always going to do a joint venture with these people. And I would say 99% of the time, I am looking to do a joint venture. The only time I'm really going to give a wholesaler a cash offer on their wholesale deal is if I'm able to get it at a price that's still an absolute, like, home run. Like, without question, I'm selling this deal. Like, that's really the only time. If I think it's like, it's an okay deal, but it could be hit or miss, I don't want to jeopardize the relationship. So, hey, man, don't work for us. You down to do a joint venture? Now, before I go a little deeper, any questions with that? Pretty simple stuff, right? relatively straightforward. All right, let's go a little deeper. This is where it gets crazy. Wholesalers, you could look at them as employees for real, and you should. So what I would do is we would value relationship building. I probably got, before even I was on social media, I had 300 plus wholesalers in my CRM that my team would follow up on. And so the power is this: you want to get on the wholesalers buyers list. They're sending you deals. We'll look to joint venture, whatever. Cool. When joint venture doesn't work, like you guys heard me say last week to that wholesaler, yo, look, if you don't want to play ball with me, I promise I'm going to wait for you to flop on it, and then I'm going to get the deal without you in it. So I'll do that. So I want to get on their buyers list, and what happens is, if you don't want to play ball with me, cool, you flop on that, I'm going to contract it. So you're building out a spreadsheet of every house that these wholesalers are sending to us, because most wholesalers are going to flop on the deal. Most wholesalers contracted it way too freaking high. They're going to flop on the deal, and I'm trying to give you advice since you don't know nothing, and it's in one ear out the other. Cool. So most of the stuff sent to you, they're off-market leads, and these wholesalers are going to lose the deal. Right? I try to help you out. You don't want to listen to me. So I got the spreadsheet building out, and every 30 to 45 days, I'm going to check. Did they close on that? Did they not? What happened with it? And there's a few ways you can go about it, right? We could save the lead and then put a follow-up date for their close date, and always ask him, yo, Joe, if he's the wholesaler, yo, Joe, when's the thing got to close by? Oh, we got to close in 2 weeks. Perfect. I'm jotting that down. If it don't close in 2 weeks, I'm calling the owner. I'm going to get it. The other nice thing about, this whole little strat right here is if they flop on the deal, most likely is because they contracted it too high. But because that seller just lost the deal at that price, they're going to be even more inclined to drop the price even further. Does that make sense? So now I got even a more motivated seller on my hands. So there's a lot of power with the wholesalers if you know how to do it. So, look to help them out, look to do a joint venture. If they don't want your advice, whatever, fine. You don't want my advice, I'll get it when you flop on it. And that led to many, many deals. So think about it this way too. These wholesalers, some of them are dropping bread on marketing. I'm going to drop a couple $1,000 a month on marketing. And then guess what? Now you're getting free leads off of their marketing efforts, right? You're also, think about what you're not having to do. You're not having to do daily follow-up. You're not having to do daily lead gen. You're not having to invest money into marketing. Maybe they got VAs. Now you don't have to manage VAs, and you're able to capture those leads for free because somebody's too hard-headed to work with you. Right? Does that make sense? Any questions there? Important you do it ethically. The way I see this ethically is, first you offer advice. When they decline advice, tell them. If you tell them what you're going to do, then it's ethical. Mike, if you don't want my advice, I promise I will wait for you to flop on it, and I will contract it myself, and you're not going to get a cut. All right, yeah, whatever, man. All right, great, cool. And then, when it happens, I don't feel sorry for you. I warned you. I gave you an opportunity to work. They make this happen. Now, the other thing, too, like I'm saying, 99% of wholesalers, they're brand new. Most people that claim to be a wholesaler are trying to get into wholesale, but haven't been actually in the business. That's just the reality of what it is, man. I've been doing this a long time. That's 90% of wholesalers chasing first deal. So what I'm getting at is, because you guys are in a community, you guys are tapped into information. Use the information. Try and use some verbiage to sound smart. Hey, I've been doing this a while. Reference me as your partner. Yo, my partner. He's been doing this 11 years. He's 400 deep, 60 million plus. Talk on me, and then you're instantly a level above these people, most of these people. And what that does is now you're at a higher perceived value. They're looking up to you, and some of them will be receptive to what you're saying. Oh, I want to listen to Mike because he clearly knows more than what I know. Right? Does that make sense? So build rapport, be trustworthy, all that. The goal is to build rapport with these wholesalers. So now let's transition just a little bit here. Take a little bit of a turn. So the goal is rapport with these wholesalers. Like I said, I'm saying these people, most of them are brand new, no clue what to do. So what could happen is, when you're a little, even just one hair up, even if you haven't done your first deal, you could still be above them just by dropping a couple of gems here and there. The goal is to pour into these people, show that you actually care about them, and you should. And what's going to happen is they will start calling you when they have new opportunity. It's freaking magic when this happens. They start calling you up, just how you guys hit me up. Why you guys hit me up in the partnership? It's the same thing. You want my help on these deals. You trust me to help you and pull it off for you. Do that with these wholesalers too, right? Call them up. Hey, Mike, what do you got? This is what I would do, man. Hey, Mike, how's it going, dude? Just want to touch base, see what you got going on. anything you're working on that looks good. And if you do that every single week, twice a week, they will start calling you with opportunity. And before I would even do these community and I was even on social media, I can remember this one dude, Wholesale Jose, in the Poconos. Jose would hit me up. I built a lot of rapport with the dude, never met him in person, but I called him and I stayed on him. And what it transpired into is, hey, Eric, I just got off the phone with this lead. Do you think you can take a look and help me out? Eric, I just got this person. They're into creative finance. Do you want to see if it's something you want? Dude, he was giving me like 10 plus leads a week, and he was working an auto dialer. He would spend $3,000 a month on a list, an auto dialer. He'd sit there all day on the phone, and he just spoon feed me anything that he thought was an opportunity. Do you see how rapport can go so far if you can play it right and you have enough strategy behind it? I'm not trying to be friends with people. I'm trying to make money, right? So like, okay, you're going to make money with people when you pour in. Like if you can give a lot, give, it's going to come back. Like that needs to be the mentality. So, hey, I'm going to really pour into this person. I'm going to really try and help them this wholesaler route with the expectation or the hope that it will flow back to me. Sometimes it doesn't, but you'll still feel good just by helping somebody out. So, try and seek those and only do that. Only look to build relationships with these wholesalers that are hungry, right? That's what I need to see. I need to see like, yo, are they like, if somebody is brand new and they're like, yeah, I'm just dabbling like 10 minutes a day. Like that's not really somebody I want to invest a lot of time into because there's not going to be much of a return coming out. They might quit next week, right? So I want somebody that's like, yo, like Melanie in the group, before she closed her first deal, she was like, yeah, I've been trying to get my first deal for 6 months, full time, and I ain't get it. That's exactly who I want because this person has the wherewithal to make it. A lot of people, they'll quit within the first 90 days. So I want somebody that's been trying for a little while. That way I know it's somewhat worth my time to invest energy into this person, but it will come back tenfold. Any question on that before we take the next turn here? Is this all making sense? Cool. All right, last little point here. Ready? So this is how you can kind of have these people as an employee. This is so dirty, but you need to have a little skill in the creative finance. This is for creative finance opportunities. So as we know, 99.9% of wholesalers do not do anything on creative. It's wholesale focused, which is fine. Any of you guys trying to stack cash, I even recommend only focus on wholesale. Don't dabble in the creative. So that's most wholesalers' mindset. They're not doing anything creative. So what we want to do is get them to start pitching creative finance when wholesale deals don't work. Wholesaler, one-man band wholesaler, he's got 100 leads in the pipeline. Maybe he'll close 3 to 5 wholesale deals out of those 100 leads. What happens if he closes 5? What happens to the other 95? Dead lead. And so what we want to do is I'm going to give these wholesalers my script, my creative finance script, and I'm going to tell them, yo, anytime, how would you like to make money on your dead leads? What are you talking about, man? That sounds pretty good. Well, do you do any creative finance? No, I don't know anything about that. Perfect. Look, this is what I do with wholesalers. I have wholesalers read my creative finance script and ask just a few, like 4 basic questions. You don't need to know anything about creative finance. You ask the person 4 basic questions when they don't want to do a wholesale deal with you, and I will give you, a commission on anything I pick up. And I'm buying a lot. And I kid you not, I don't know, was anybody here, any of you guys that have been in the group a while, I did an example of exactly what I'm saying a little over a year ago, and I did the call live right here on Zoom, and the wholesaler was like, yeah, I'm new, I don't pitch seller finance, but I'm down to do that for you, just off of Craigslist. And I said, who's the first person that comes to mind that would be open to doing creative finance? I don't know, I'd have to think about it. No. Who's the first? Think right now. Who comes to mind that would do creative finance? And the kid's like, well, I got this one lady. Who? What's the address? I don't really want to share it. What's the address? You want help or not? He gives me the address. This is all on one phone call. I said, good, get her on the phone right now. The situation was perfect. Call her up. Oh, she's not good in the evening. She's better on the weekends. Dude, call her right now. Right now, call her. Like, I commanded him to do it, and he's like, oh, shit. Silvio says he remembers that. That's funny. And so the kid's all nervous, but I'm controlling him. You want to control people, man. So I controlled him to call her on the phone now. Like, demanded it out of him. He calls her on the phone. I get her on the phone, free house. Got her on the phone, wrapped the whole thing up. There's 0 money to the seller. maybe 60,000 in equity, free house, just like that. And the kid told me, yeah, no, I've been trying to do something for 5 months with her. What? Dude, one phone call done. That was a free lead, and he was spending money on data to get that. That deal, I remember that too. The lady couldn't sell it outright because if she got too much money, she was going to lose her Social Security. So her only option was seller finance with no down payment. That was the only thing she had for her. So it was a home run, right? But it's the hard questions. It's the strategy. It's investing into these people. Now, I'm going to pull up the script so you guys, I'm telling you, this is so powerful if you just really do it. You just do everything I'm telling you guys to do. Check this out. Yeah, Silvio, that's funny. Oh, Jesse, that's you, man. Jesse, that's funny you remember that. That was a long time ago. And that call is actually in the course, in the original course. So you guys have that. So this is the script, right? You don't have to be an expert in seller finance. So I would send them the script and I tell them, look, you're just going to tell them, just read the script word for word, get the answers to the questions, and give me the lead. And look, there's nothing to it. It's not going to work for us buying it outright. Let me ask you, would you consider owner finance? A lot of the times we could offer, your asking price. We have a new seller finance script, but this was the old one. Would you be open to it? Yeah, or yeah, I might be open to that. Cool. I just got a few questions. We could review it, see if it makes sense for the both of us. So, Mr. Seller, what's the mortgage balance? What are the monthly payments? Are tax and insurance escrowed in the payment? Escrowed's just a fancy word for included. Great, let us review it and I'll call you back. So I'm only giving the wholesaler this. They don't know anything about seller finance. They know nothing about subject to. They're just going to produce a yes, I'm interested in that opportunity. And it's amazing. You pour into these wholesalers. One wholesaler's got 40 leads and now he's going to go pitch to 40 people seller finance on your behalf. I got Joe, the wholesaler in Vegas, and he's got 200 leads in his pipeline, and he's going to go pitch 200. Now, imagine you have a couple hundred wholesalers in your database, and then you throw them on some drip campaign where they're getting text and email saying, yo, what do you got? Any wholesale, any this, any that? It's game over, dude. It's absolutely game over, and that's like a free employee, free manpower that you're tapped into. Does that all make sense? Any questions on that? That's all I got for the free stuff. So we got enough time to pivot into the paid stuff. Any questions, I guess, on anything that we've discussed?
I need your help real quick. Tyrell, that Seminole property, he said we had to be a little bit lower on it. Can you go and renegotiate? He had to terminate the contract for that one.
I'll do it on the next Zoom.
But
I got you. All right. Any questions with anything we discussed today? Okay, feeling good? All right, let's talk on some of the paid stuff then. So, there's a whole course video, free course video coming, covering a lot of lead generation stuff, paid stuff too. When it comes to the paid stuff, again, like we were saying in the beginning, you definitely want somewhat of a foundation poured. You got to know what you're doing before you start spending money, or I'm telling you, you're just going to piss it away. When you do invest money into marketing, there's 1,000,001 channels. You got PPC, you got ringless voicemails, cold call, AI calling at this point, texting. I mean, there's Facebook ads. There's so much you could do. Try for dollars, bandit signs, a lot, right? So from my experience, when it comes to the paid stuff, I'll just kind of talk on my story, right? So I first started with the bandit signs, closed the deal that costed no money to get. Great, now I got a couple of bucks to invest. Let's do some bandit signs. Bandit signs, have done them in Florida.
Look at his YouTube video. He really got recipe. You're really changed by the cops, changed by the news, everything like that. He was wild with that. He actually did that stuff. Look at his YouTube channel. You'll see.
It's another story. But so with the bandit signs, they do work. My experience though, they work. They would produce. I would do maybe roughly. I was consistent, maybe anywhere from 100 to 300 signs a month I was putting out, which was quite a bit. I would say when I was doing like 100 a month consistently, that would bring in at least one deal a month. So that is inbound, right? There you have outbound marketing, inbound marketing. Inbound is when somebody's calling us. There's many forms. If I do an ad on Facebook, I do an ad on Google, they search We Buy Houses and fill out a form, they are coming to me. Inbound leads are always going to be much, much hotter than outbound. They're coming to me. So when I was doing the bandit signs, I'm not getting 1 million phone calls. I might only get 5 phone calls in a month, but out of those 5 phone calls, I got one deal. If you're calling a We Buy Houses sign, like, bro, you need money quick. Like, you want to unload this thing. And that's what it was, man. So the bandit signs were excellent. I always was consistent in Pennsylvania with those. Then I came down to Florida. I'm like, yeah, man, I know what I'm doing. Let's do some bandit signs down here. I did 301 pop, not one phone call. Not one phone call. So what I realized is, or my conclusion is, bandit signs work. They work better in the lower income and more remote areas, right? More remote cities, lower income. Down here in Tampa, you're dealing with a lot of people with money. A lot of these homes, 4 or 5 plus, very expensive stuff. Less people hurting financially. So for them to stumble across a We Buy Houses and it's a desperate person, the odds are much, much lower. The bigger cities too, the cities freaking ripping these signs off overnight, put 300 up, the next morning there's like 60 still standing. Like, what? Like, dude, we put these out at 3 in the morning. So they work good in the small cities, not in the big cities. Bandit signs are cool, but that's not going to be your whole business, right? So when I was doing bandit signs, I was also tapped into data. It's always been free stuff, free streams of marketing tied in with paid. You want both. Never just 1 or 2 channels. So I would also be doing cold call for years with virtual assistants in the Philippines, and they would also run my SMS campaign. So I would be spending, as a one-man band, probably anywhere from like $3,000 to $5,000 a month on data. That's just skip trace records, VAs, the whole nine. And that's really it. The VAs would call the list. They'd generate the leads. Once I banged out and exhausted all efforts on the list, I'd take that same list, plug it into SMS, blast text all these people. Every now and again, I'd throw in a little bit of ringless voicemail, but that's kind of it. Obviously, I'm not going to have time to do a super deep dive into pulling list and dialers and all that stuff. Does anybody, I guess, have any questions with that before I go a little further in this? Feeling good? All right, so I've also done a little bit of PPC. The spend was around $3,000 a month on an online forum. So Google We Buy Houses, we pop up, you fill out your form, we get a couple leads. PPC was really good. PPC is also very expensive though, so that's not where you first start putting your money. Ryan, I don't think he's here with us today, but Ryan in our high-level mastermind, before he joined, he was like, yeah, man, I'm spending like $8,000 a month, something like that on PPC. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I close like one deal every other month. And I was like, bro, like, you got it all wrong. So we dropped the PPC, made the changes, and now he's closing, he's doing deals consistently with his team. So PPC is good, but that is going to be one of the last things you actually tap into, unless it's like nobody's doing it in your market. All right, then that might be an exception. But if you just Google We Buy Houses and multiple things are popping up, then I definitely wouldn't recommend starting with PPC. It's very competitive. It's not a lot of leads. So I'd spend $3,000 a month. Maybe 10, 15 leads would come in out of that month. So, it's a lot higher quality leads, but you also, you got to know what you're doing, because you're probably not the only online form that they filled out, right? So something to keep in mind. So my recommendation would always be to start with a dialer. I always recommend starting on your own with the dialer, right? So you're doing your own thing on the dialer before you get the VAs. You want to get familiar with the dialers, get familiar with tracking your stats, get familiar with the flow of the dialer, the whole nine, and then look to get the VAs going. And that's exactly what I did. For a couple months, I was trying to get my first wholesale deal. Great, we did it. Bought some bandit signs, got a dialer going. I was working the dialer till I closed the next deal. I'm like, my confidence is up. I'm like maybe 3 to 5 deals in. Let's take a leap and let's start building a VA team in the Philippines. And then boom, then you automate that. But first thing would be get the dialer. When you're ready to make that transition, then SMS, and then data, the same list, get plugged into both streams of marketing. The other really cool thing about data though is there's so much you could do with it. So if I pull one list, I have access to the address, I have access to the phone number and the email address. So that one list, I could do mailers, right? I could mail a bunch of letters to these people, which I wouldn't recommend. But I could cold call the list, I got the phone number. I could text the list, I got the phone number, but I also got their email. So I could do drip campaigns or email marketing to these people as well. I could take all their emails and boom, one shot, send it in an email blast. Now, that wasn't something I was doing, if I'm being honest. Looking back, I don't know why I wasn't. I think that was just missed opportunity. I think maybe my tech skills weren't quite there yet when I was playing the game. but that is something I would like to do now. And the other cool thing too is email marketing is so affordable. I think when I built Auto, we were dropping 100,000 emails for like $600. 100,000 emails a day for I think $600 a month, $800 a month. You know, so just think about the volume. You know, you're not gonna have 100,000 emails, but what happens too is you're capturing all these emails as you're buying lists. All right, I buy 3,000 records. You know, 3 emails per record. Now I got 9,000 emails. Then next month I buy another 3,000 records. Now I got 18,000 emails. And so the emails, you're going to keep over time accumulating these emails and emails and emails. That email list is building and building. But because email marketing is so freaking cheap, we can keep ripping it. You know, with the cold calling and the SMS, those are relatively expensive forms of marketing to be doing text blasting consistently, to have VAs ripping. You know, with those two, the SMS and the cold calling, you want relatively fresh data up in there, if that makes sense, because it's expensive. Email is so cheap, so I can keep building that list, and the people that I put in that list from 2 years ago, it's fine. I can keep blasting them on email every single month because it costs me nothing. It's pennies on the dollar to hit them. Does that make sense? All right, we're gonna have my next meeting in a few minutes here. So any questions you guys got? We'll wrap with any general questions. Anything at all?
I got one, Eric, if you can hear me.
Yeah, what's up, Jesse?
Hey, I talked to a lady yesterday. She has 2 houses in Florida. She said they were going to go on the market today, but I didn't see them. I had the addresses, and she said she's just trying to, get rid of them. So I don't know the next step that we should take of trying to seal the deal.
Like she's gonna list them with an agent or post them?
Yeah, I think she said she's gonna listen with the agent, so we just have to wait for them to pop up on Zillow to actually put a deal in, I guess.
Well, I would say call her or text her back and ask if she'd be willing to work a deal before it goes on market.
Yeah, I didn't get her phone number. I gave her mine, but for some silly reason, I didn't get her number. But I looked it up. Huh?
When did you make that call?
No, I ran into her yesterday just by speaking with her. Yeah, and she gave me the addresses and said, yeah, here are the addresses. It should be live tomorrow, or I don't know what she said, tomorrow or Thursday. But I looked it up, and her name is on the, listed to her under her name and some other name. But so, I mean, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I would maybe skip. I can't skip it because I don't have access to that anymore.
Oh, so yeah, that's what I was thinking. Skip Fish to get her phone number.
That's what I would do.
And just be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, just be like, hey, I am interested. Would you consider working a deal before it goes on market? And then the agent might be willing to take a haircut on the commission and all.
Then as soon as I get into that, what are you calling that thing now? Where your team calls them?
The partnership?
Yeah, partnership.
You said you sent it through there or not yet?
No, I'm gonna throw it in there.
Okay.
So if I put it in there, will y'all skip trace it, or you want me to?
I would say, yeah, try and get a combo and like just as much detail as possible first before you submit it.
Yeah, she basically said it was flooded. She's trying to get out of it. She's not trying to make no money. She just wants to get rid of it. She's already moved to Texas. So yeah, she has 2 of them. I'll try to get some more information though, but like that's basically her deal. She's trying to get it. She don't want to be a landlord.
All right, yeah, I mean that's fine. If you just put all that info in, we can skip it. That's fine.
Okay, 10-4, appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Sweet. All righty. Any other questions you guys got?
I was gonna say that that kind of answers my question too. Like, what would help you in the partnership program more? Like, what should we put in the form that would assist whoever's just selling or doing the deal? Like, any tips on how to make it easier?
Just nothing copy and paste it, guys. Like I've been saying on repeat, which we're still seeing stuff come in that's like copy and paste. We just need some info. Like you have to have a combo. You have to somewhat see like, hey, I believe there's an opportunity for some reason. If you don't see an opportunity, then I don't put it in. We got to see opportunity. And that's based on the situation or condition, right? So,
Yeah. So, like in the description, like how long should we put like little chunks of information? Like, should we detail it out, or should we put like a sentence or two?
the more info, the better, really.
More info, the better.
As much info as you got.
And like in your CRM, you can just search all of that, and it just shows up normal.
Yep. And that one lead, Mike, that was the only one that didn't come through. But what's weird is, and it was Palmer, but what's weird is Grant too was like, no, I could have sworn the team was talking about that, or we heard of that. But we did look into it further, and there's no deal there. It was too tight. But everything else you sent through is in there. Like nothing broke, so it's good news.
Yeah, I do a little bit of like background on it. I call them up, ask them some questions. If I see there's an opportunity, I'll put it in the partnership program.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I'm trying to like collapse the timeline from when I identify the opportunity to how long it takes to submit it. And like, dude, it was taking me like 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes before, but I'm trying to get that down to like 6 minutes.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And then I want to eventually get it down to like maybe 4 minutes. You know, I'm trying to collapse it.
I'm with it. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, work over time, right?
Definitely.
So yeah, I'm
You're popping some ideas in my head.
Yeah,
man.
No, good enough. Yeah, I'm probably submitting more stuff today. So
Cool. Awesome, man. I love it. For those of you guys that are new to the group, again, we have our partnership program that is live. That's for anybody in the community. I'll screen share real quick. I'll show you guys how to access it. So when you guys are in the school community, you can just come into partnership program right here. You'll see the link. So if you open it up, you got the link, you got the rules. Now I'll specify, give you guys a little info, right? So 2 levels to the partnership, and again, it's totally optional. But one is you bring a signed contract, normal joint venture. Eric, you got the deal. Can you help sell it, right? So I'll bring the buyer, cool, normal JV. Or you guys can submit a lead, right? So this is more for you guys that don't have enough time to get into the game. So just call them up. You can text them just those basic questions on the cold call script. Fill out the form with those answers to the questions, and that's really it. And I'll work it, right? So I'll run the numbers, I'll make the offer, negotiate, follow up, sell it. I'll do all the work, and we'll both eat on the deal. There's been a lot of opportunities. Some stuff I think is pretty close to actually closing on now too, which is pretty exciting. So my thing is, if you do it right, you're not just throwing random stuff in. If you just did one a day, I would say you're pretty close to guaranteeing yourself a deal within that first month. As long as it's just not copy and pasted stuff. So any questions, I guess, with that?
I like your metric about 3 to 5 offers a day for 30 days, guaranteed one deal, right?
Yeah, that's guaranteed money. Definitely. But it's even less than that, so the reason I say like 1 lead a day for 30 days is going to bring it home is because, like, as a newbie, when you're brand new to the game, and it's going to take that higher volume to like kind of stumble upon that deal, if that makes sense. But when you're playing the game a while and you got a bunch of different strategies, you'll be able to convert more, if that makes sense. So yeah, like what you're saying is a good metric as if you're running on your own.
Sweet. Like I signed a win rate for it, and I was like, it's 8%, so I figure, bro, that's pretty decent. I was running some numbers, bro. So apparently, like, if you had 100K a pop and you had an office of 20 people, every 30 minutes they submit an offer at that win rate, that's a revenue of $72 million a month.
That's not possible.
If you run the numbers on what I just said, bro, that's pretty nuts. Gross revenue.
Wholesale, here's some like realistic expectations.
Yeah,
One-man band, your cap's probably around 3. If you're doing this full time, maybe it'll cross 3 if you're lucky. I was never able to cross 250 as a one-man band. Now that was a while back, so I think 3 is probably realistic for today. Fast forward 10, but so, one-man band, that's realistic. You look to build a company with our operation, 20 plus guys. You're definitely under 2, I would say, with that type of team setup. So under 2 million. And then if you franchise out, that's where you can maybe get, I don't know any franchise doing $1 million. The biggest franchises are Keighley and New Western. I know them both. I know their numbers because I've seen their numbers. New Western, I think the best month they ever had was like 680-something thousand in commissions. And Keighley franchise nationwide, that's Jameel. A lot of you guys know Jameel and Pace. I think the most they've ever done, I saw on text, was 700-something thousand, but that's between all the franchises. So that's not even one company. So maybe you can gross 10 million, but
You're saying that, yeah, gross 72. Key assumptions there is you have an office of 20, 8 hours a day, and they're doing 30-minute offers. Offer every half hour, each person.
who's doing that, or that's just in your head?
These are the assumptions that they say for a 20-man site, like a 20 person office, if they're submitting offer every 30 minutes. And they're 100.
Who's saying this?
This is just if you run numbers, if you just run those numbers.
Well, here, I'll break your theory right now, and then I do got to work in a second. But the reason that doesn't work is because within 30 minutes, you might have nobody even pick up the phone. It takes 20 minutes just to come up with that concrete offer. And then you got to follow up on all the offers you made yesterday, the day before, 3 months ago. So, yeah, it's not even humanly possible. Maybe 20 guys wouldn't even put out that many offers in one day.
Overtime.
Yeah, there's some big assumptions, bro. I like your theory. I like your rebuttal on that one, bro. I think I trust you. I know you're right, so I'm just telling you that's what the numbers come out to.
Yeah, wholesale guys, like you even with the company, you'll pocket a few hundred, but you will not put $1 million in your pocket. Not gonna happen unless you franchise out. You got 15 franchises in 15 different states, maybe. But no, not even close. It's
if you're like an expert business scaler, right? And you took and you applied those like collapse in the timeline stuff that you're saying. I would hope to get a small office of like 5 figures a month to 6 figures a month in like 90 days.
Yeah, like we were doing over 6 figures a month in the office. It's doable, but that's not 6 figures in your pocket.
Net. I'm saying 6 figures net. You think that's hard?
Not with 20 guys. That's impossible. You'll need like 4 offices with 20 guys, 3 or 4 offices with 20 guys each to do 100 in your pocket.
Based on the numbers that's going on right now, you think?
Yeah, because you got, just rough numbers, right? All right, we made 10 grand, 20% is going to the acquisition, 20 is going back into marketing, 15% is going into our dispo, another 5% into fixed expenses. So would you really net 45%? You know what I mean? So as you grow a company, your net decreases, right? So one-man band, I keep all the money 100%, but as a company, maybe I was putting 30% maybe in my pocket, if that, sometimes less. But what you got to remember is you're doing no work. Now it's fully automated. You got to cash, it's just printing money and you're doing absolutely nothing. So it's kind of like the trade-off. You're taking less per deal, but you're making way more money with no work, really, no effort.
Yeah, and as you scale up, the quality of deals might go down, technically, sometimes, right? And there's certain like choke points that like 2x your current business growth will be choke points, and then 5x will be bigger choke points, and then 10x will even be more. So
yeah, I would say, yeah, I don't even know, man. For me, having a one-man band, I first built a company, 5 people on the team, maybe 3, 4, 5. I don't call it maybe 3 acquisitions working for me, 3 or 4 acquisitions, and then maybe 2 or 3 cold callers with that operation. I think with that setup, that ended up failing, by the way. And that failed, and I think I only made I was making more money as a one-man band wholesaler than having 5 guys on my team. Let that sink in. I could put more in my pocket as a one-man band with a few Philippine people calling than having people do the acquisition work for me, which is a pretty interesting concept. So it only really makes sense to build a company when you do it big. Having 5 guys, you're definitely making less than what you could do on your own, but you're also doing a lot less work. So there's somewhat of a trade-off. But when you go for it big and you want to build a big company, that's when you can make way more than you can make as a one-man band. But it's just less per deal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like Silicon, like dude, tech startups love to brag about. Like they say, like our revenue is like 70 million a month. It's gross revenue. It's like how many transactions are going through their office, but they don't tell you how much net they're making.
No, exactly.
And then how much debt they have behind that. They
none of you guys should be thinking you're getting rich wholesaling. You'll make a lot of money wholesaling as a one-man band. You can make even more money. You can be in the top 1% of people in America. I think the top 1% is what, 300-something thousand, right?
400.
So, 400. So you could be 400. You could be in the top 1% if you build a company. If you do it as a one-man band, you could easily make $200,000 a year doing this full time once you know what you're doing. But don't think you're gonna make $1 million in your pocket. That's not gonna happen unless you franchise out, and that's really hard to do. That is not easy.
But like you did scale, you went 4 offices of 20, like you're saying.
No, I have one office of maybe max 30-something people at one point.
But like in theory, if you did scale up, where you added 4 more offices like that, what choke points do you see? Big ones.
Well, the next play, honestly, I really wanted the one office to get to like 100+ employees. The choke points really just become the automation, the management, all that. I feel like not to toot my horn, but I feel like I'm relatively good at automation, scaling systems. Like I just kind of have that eye, that vision. Choke points is just leveling up. Making $100,000 or making $1 million is a totally different skill set than making $100,000. 10 million is way. I think I just saw a Hermosi post talking on this. Everybody talks on this, dude. Like what it took for me to make my first $100,000. Totally different skill set to make $1 million. It's not just more action. It's different, totally different.
Collapsing that manual input.
It's also a lot of skill. I would say a huge bulk of it is, at least 40% of it is personal development. Who you're becoming as the leader and how you move, how you operate. I do got to run because now I'm late to this next meeting, but man, dude, there's success in anything entrepreneur space. Vast majority of it is mindset. Can you show up at 5 a.m. and wrap up at 10 p.m. when you don't even want to work at all? Most people can't. You're only going to get there when your mind is conditioned and disciplined enough to do the things that nobody else will do.
Yep. Bro, like Hermosi says, he says that people use real estate as an excuse for personal development. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Well, that's why when you said personal development, Hermosi, I'm thinking you heard that from him. He said that. But anyways, yeah, bro. That's good stuff, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So, guys, I'm going to wrap it at that. You guys got Zoom with Terrell tomorrow morning, I think at 11. And then I'll be back with you guys Thursday. I'll pick a good topic. We'll do a deep dive into something. And we'll probably do some deal help then, too. So, catch Terrell's Zoom tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the night, guys. And I'll see you guys Thursday.
Thank you. Have a good evening. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you guys.